we all have these like inner monologues, but we never really stop and try to figure out what other people's inner monologues are.
Welcome to Feeling Seen. I'm Jordan Crucchiola. It is a big week here on the show as we continue to collect members of the Blood Hive. That's right, you may know my guest today from her role as young Shauna Shipman in Yellow Jackets, or you may know her as Rose Landry in the show that might have crossed your feed recently, Heated Rivalry, or from The Book Thief. She got her start as a child in the Oscar-nominated film Monsieur Lazare. Well, this weekend, she stars alongside Daphne Keane in the found object horror movie Whistle, in which death stalks anyone who blows, you guessed it, an ancient cursed whistle. Coming of age in the spotlight as an actor has given Sophie a unique relationship with her innermost emotions. So perhaps it's no surprise that she's feeling seen by Riley, the girl we see tackling her changing sense of self, very literally, in Inside Out 2. Without further ado, let's get to Sophie Nélisse. Sophie Nélisse, what else do the people need to know about you before we get started today?
Oh my gosh, nothing. You did such a great introduction. I'm just so happy to be here.
Academy Award feature nominee, zeitgeist penetrating cultural phenomenon television, which most people don't experience that once. You are now in the middle of that kind of maelstrom twice. I would say credit to the queers for powering substantial parts of those fandoms both times. Please Tell me what it's like to be in the absolute wall of a storm when it comes to being part of a zeitgeist shattering television program.
It feels so surreal. I think it's because, at least for myself, I never go into a project with that specific goal or aim.
It would be so crazy if you did.
There's always this huge amount of rush of gratitude, and it feels very unexpected and overwhelming and always very strange to navigate because it always comes with an additional, like, yes, you're grateful and you're happy, but also so much more pressure now because you're like, wait, people look up to me or have opinions and I don't want to disappoint anyone and I want to make everyone happy. And the truth is you will never make everyone happy. And so I remember with Yellow Jackets, coming on to set for the second season, there were different kinds of nerves.
Right.
Because we wanted to make a show that lived up to the expectations of the first one.
Yeah.
People had all of these theories and all of these hopes and dreams for these characters.
And they're getting so attached to these theories that they've made that are just for themselves alone.
I know. And I understand it because there are some shows that I feel so deeply and personally connected to that if they kill a character or if this person doesn't end up with that other character, then I'm like genuinely pissed off. Like I remember watching Normal People and genuinely feeling heartbroken. Like I was like, I'm so invested in this relationship. It feels like it's happening to me. Like my heart would start pacing when I would watch the show.
I had to stop watching The Magicians because I was so invested in one particular character that horrible things wouldn't stop happening to them. And I realized, like, I'm thinking about this show so much when I'm not watching it. I think I need to break up with this show. Like, it became actually like an unhealthy relationship because I couldn't quit obsessing about all the terrible things happening to this character.
Yeah. And it's been interesting with Yellow Jackets because Shauna has cultivated quite an audience of people that hate her. So many people hate Shauna now. And they come up to me and they're like, I get that it's not you, but it's just I really hate your character. And I'm like, I don't know what to answer to that. I don't write the scripts and I don't approve with her behavior either. A whole lot of therapy, and I would highly suggest that she seeks help. But at the end of the day, I'm just a puppeteer and I'm just doing what I've been told. And honestly, I mean, I love a villain. I love a character that brings contradiction and that is flawed because I think we all have our own issues and battles to deal with. And so I'm happy that I get to play a character that people don't all love, but it has definitely created a conversation and a lot of discourse. but yeah, I stand by her, and I still have a few defenders out there, and shout out.
Shout out to the Shaunable Lecter fans in the audience out there. Well, okay, before we go too far into the premise, I want to hear about Whistle a little bit because as this movie builds, especially, you're acting your ass off. This is a new. I love a cursed object horror picture, and we've got a great new cursed object horror picture with some phenomenal deaths. This will be a good big screen spectacle, so I encourage people to get out to the theaters to see this one, see it with friends, shout at the screen. Talk to us a little bit about Whistle.
I mean, it's sort of a coming of age horror movie. Um, I think it really hits the nail on the head when it comes to the type of audience that loves gore because
Mm-hmm.
very gory. I mean, from the get-go, like we're not trying to spare anyone. It's immediate death, but it's so fun because it brings you on a journey that again you start rooting for all these characters that kind of just keep dropping like flies. And then it's just heartbreak after heartbreak, but at the same time, you're just so invested in them and you really want them to all make it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just like it's a fun watch. It's a great mixture of the tension is always there, but there's also a very soft and human side. And I think that's because Corin, the director, cared so much for these characters. They all sort of come from a personal place for him, and he's
Mm-hmm.
been so generous in sharing personal stories. And so I think it was important for Daphne and I to bring that kind of honest softness and gentle side to these characters as well. Um, so that the audience, cares even more for them. And because I think it's a perfect representation of life. I mean, for me, every movie has some sort of realist metaphor. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think in this one, there's a beautiful balance of like when literally everything is coming to an end and at its worst, there's weirdly something so beautiful that flourishes from that.
Mm-hmm.
And you find that in the characters of Ellie and Chris.
You and Daphne Keane starring this movie together, and Corin Hardy, director, who comes from the camp of, like, he's from the Atomic Monster background, like the Conjuring verse under James Wan. He's a student of the genre. And though it is not horror, I believe there have been a variety of connective tissues that you've laid for us to get into the character that you've brought for discussion, which we're going to link right now to Inside Out 2 and the character of Riley.
Hello, everybody! Oh my gosh, I am just such a huge fan of yours, and now here I am meeting you face to face. Okay, how can I help? I can take notes, get coffee, manage your calendar, walk your dog, carry your things, watch you sleep.
Wow, you have a lot of energy. Maybe you could just stay in one place?
Anything. Just call my name, and I'm here for you.
Okay, love that. And what was your name again?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can get ahead of myself. I'm anxiety. I'm one of Riley's new emotions, and we are just super jazzed to be here. Where can I put my stuff?
What do you mean, we?
I wish I was as tall as all of you.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Envy. Look at your hair.
Oh, yeah, not happening.
Look at her hair. We need hair like that.
Oh my gosh, I love the red in your hair.
What are you doing?
You've come on a couple things here, like coming of age aspect. That's something that obviously we see in a very sort of perverse, exploded way in Yellow Jackets. And the elements of sort of like connecting to people, like this most vital sort of category of movie where we get to latch on to like the most raw and messy parts of us in our formative years. And that is just, God, we get to literally go into the interior of Riley in Inside Out 2, where she's like a little girl in the first one. And now we're meeting her as a teen, literally at the dawn of her puberty. And I want to hear about you relating to Riley, specifically as you have designated in Inside Out 2, a more tumultuous phase of her life.
Yeah, and I think it's so. What shocked me the most is that I think I connect to her more now as a 25-year-old than I would have connected to her when I was 15. And it's just, and it's only to speak of how this movie reaches, in my opinion, such a wide audience. I think it's the most incredible animation movie that's ever been made because anyone from any age can find pieces of Riley in themselves. I think the two struck a more specific chord for me because of the whole anxiety aspect. That's something that came into my life a little later on.
Come on, Riley. Get it together.
Come on, Riley, get it together.
I'm not good enough.
You have to score, Riley, or this will all have been for nothing.
Anxiety, you're putting too much pressure on her.
I have family members that have that struggled a lot with panic attacks growing up, and I didn't really know because I'm so rational, and I've never really known how to connect with that because my brain didn't know how to find, I guess, the empathy, to be quite honest, to really be able to navigate their emotions. And it's had to happen to me for me to develop that empathy within myself. I a few years ago started getting like a lot of panic attacks, and I didn't really understand why, where they came from, how to deal with them. And I was extremely lucky to have such a strong support system. To have a therapist, to have my brother who's also a therapist, not my therapist, but like
but he speaks the language. He's familiar with the language, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel extremely lucky to be in a position where conversation is so welcomed in my family and with my friends, and that I've always felt like I could communicate what was happening. But it is so scary for someone going through life. And I think of, all the younger girls that are going through life-changing moments and that don't have the tools or the people around them to help them communicate or clearly explain what's going on through their brain. And that's what I loved about that movie. I was like, this is going to make every person going through a similar emotion so seen and understood, and it's explained in a way that makes just so much sense.
It's really incredible. Like, you watch it again and again, and it's like, wow, these are incredible. Like, the sarcasm and everything yelled through it gets perverted through this like filter of being like sardonic and wry when it's not meant to.
What is that? That's a sarcasm! It can open for miles! Run for your lives!
Sarcasm? Really?
Get Up and Glow is my favorite band.
But she loves Get Up and Glow. They choreograph their own dances.
Okay, Joy, if we can't follow the stream, we don't know where we're going. And if we don't know where we're going, we can't follow the stream! It is an endless loop of tragedy and consequence!
Or we could just ask those guys.
Oh yeah, or that.
Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys! Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys!
Huh? Please! We really need your help! We really need your help!
What's their problem?
The way that they really like visualize these complex ideas into something that feels like not just like to say that you relate more to this character or have a connection more with it, perhaps even at 25. Like, as we develop the tools to understand more even what the movie is telling us, I feel like it even becomes more rich as you get older, because you're like, God, I understand even more the levels that they're operating at to condense all this down into these beautiful, like, connect-toable talking points in this.
Absolutely. And like I sometimes whenever I have a reaction or I'm like genuinely like, what would Riley do? Like, what? Like, sounds so like I feel like a kid for saying that, but I'm like, wait, how? And it just gives me like, maybe it's because I'm a very visual person, but I think like when I get overwhelmed with certain emotions and I can't make sense of them, because I think that's why a lot of people journal, because you get to more clearly see your thoughts. But I think my mind kind of goes to literally those little characters that are all at the center control of your brain and that are all there trying to like, they all want to help. Like you're like all of your internal clocks and systems and ways of operating, they all kind of mobilize themselves and they're all like, let's help this brain, let's help her function. But it's like too much, and then it's all like this like pardon my French, but like this clusterfuck.
Yeah.
It's like panic, panic, panic. And I find that like whenever I'm going through whatever emotion, I really can just visualize all of these different parts of my brain that are all there to help me, and they're trying and doing their best, and I can see them pushing on that button. Now say that, and then I regret saying it, and I'm like, oh wait, but that was my anger button, and it makes me feel more at like, I don't know, just more self-compassionate of like if I did react a certain way that I'm not happy with or not proud of, like, oh, I know this came from a place of like I was trying to do the right thing, or I was trying to help myself, and it's not how it should have come out. So let my this other part of my brain now speak, and it's just it's I mean, the brain is just so complex, and I just think that movie kind of visually depicts it so well.
I am truly sorry. I was so looking forward to working with you guys.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Riley's life is more complex now. It requires more sophisticated emotions than all of you. You just aren't what she needs anymore, Joy.
How dare you, madam?
You can't just bottle us up.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I can't breathe.
It's not forever. It's just until Riley makes varsity, or until she turns 18, or maybe forever. I don't know. We'll have to see.
What we see in Inside Out 2 is these very distinct and specific visualizations of each emotion as a character. And as an actor, you guys are like these little people in our brains at the controls. They're like a toolkit in an active way for you guys as professionals, more so than they are, I would say, like tangibly for sort of most people in their day-to-day lives. And I wanted to hear about like, how is your relationship with sort of these like little characters, like these little people at the controls? How is that affected by the fact that you work with them more actively as little colleagues?
I mean, I think it's made me, or maybe I've always been like this, but someone that's very, I have a lot of introspection. Yeah, I've just always been able to kind of pinpoint every emotion. I don't always know why it's there, but I can more easily kind of reach them.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people, I guess, project a lot onto others because they can't deal with something. That's usually because there is like a disconnect between themselves and that emotion, and they're not okay with it, so they need to project it onto someone else. Or people that just live in like denial. So many people will have a hard time communicating because they deny so many emotions, and I feel like I have a choice but to confront all of these emotions because I need to use them as that's part of my job to be able to tap into these. So I'm comfortable with a lot of them, and doesn't mean that I'm like okay or proud of all of them.
Yeah, you're not like in total control of them at all times, but you know they're there.
And I know that they're there, and I'm in full acceptance that they're there. And they'll come out however they need to come out. But the only way that I know how to act is to find a similarity between the character and myself. It's to say, okay, she is sad for that reason. I've never been through this specific situation that she's going, like, let's say the loss of a parent. But I understand from personal experience what grief feels like, and that I can relate on that specific emotion, because I do think that like emotions are different depending on your situation you're put in, but at the end of the day, emotion is an emotion. It doesn't have like a language, or it doesn't have a word. It just is like a feeling, and that is so universal. And so unlike Riley, who can just throw all of the bad memories and the trauma
into the back of her mind, in
the little bubbles that aren't colorful anymore and that are far, far away, mine are just a lot closer, and I just have to find myself reaching back to them a little more often.
Oh, Riley's so hard on herself.
But we can make everything easier. Behold, my super high-tech Riley protection system. Don't look, it's fine. This is for all those memories that belong in the back of the mind. Like this penalty one. It's weighing on her, so let's lighten the load. A one-way expressway to, we're not gonna think about that right now. Woo!
Wow!
That's pretty
You worked
impressive.
hard.
You take such good care of Riley.
Thanks, I try.
Something I've was listening to you talk about in another interview. It was talking about sort of a reflexive, sort of a passive approach in like a group dynamic, like not necessarily the most forward, like bold personality. And with the Riley character in Inside Out too, like we're literally watching an interior monologue at all times. It's just being played out by characters, by these little goofy characters. And then I know that you've optioned, I believe with Courtney Eaton, your Yellow Jackets co-star and producing partner, the book Girl in Pieces. And I have read or listened to you talk about as well how you really connected to that character's inner monologue, and in a way that you expressed that like you'd felt very seen by that in a way that this character sort of expressed himself that was unique for that story. I wanted to hear about that connection, that sort of recurring connection to like a deep focus on like the interiority, like the sort of performance below the evident surface, and like why that seems to speak to you.
Because I think it's just so fascinating to me that, I mean, we just all move through life without always, like, I'm always someone I've never been able to hide my emotions all that well. If I need to cry, like, I will cry in the arms of a stranger on the subway if I'm having a bad day. Like, I can't. But it always fascinates me to meet people that put up this character, this persona of they're doing so well, and then they get home and then they break into breaking sobs. Like, this sort of like disassociation to me is so interesting. We're just always so not like self-absorbed, but it's just like we're
our own main characters. We're the center of our own stories. It's true.
And that's the thing. It's like we all have these like inner monologues, but we never really stop and try to figure out what other people's inner monologues are. Wouldn't it be just so interesting if like our inner monologues were just displayed? And I think we would have also a lot more empathy for one another. I mean, I think the fact that we all feel like we have to shield ourselves from the people around us, from the world, that we can't always just say the first, like, how often have you asked someone, how are you doing? And then they're just like, I'm actually quite unwell.
Yeah, right. And you kind of, it actually, when people do that, it's sort of like oh, whoa, okay. Like, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I was being nice, but like crazy.
Yeah, weird. But like also like it was a waiter that's so rude to you. And like, we're so quick to being like, well, he was a rude waiter. And I'm like, you don't have the, like, you have no idea what they're going through. Like, literally none.
If we're sitting here eating this lunch, you haven't been working a service job for the past 4 hours, I can tell you that.
A really good friend of mine lost someone recently, and I was like, she's going to move through the world, and everyone's going to treat her exactly the same as they did yesterday. And her world starting today is literally forever changed.
Yeah.
And like, these are going to be the worst next months of her life. I don't even understand how she can survive right now, and she will, because we do, and we're literally human. We'll survive anything. But I don't know. I just I think we would just have a lot. I think the world just lacks so much empathy. And I think we would just have a lot more of empathy with each other if we kind of had a more honest approach on like, hey, I'm having a really shitty day because this and that happened. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And so that's why, I don't know, your inner world is just so vast. And it's weird how we actually know so little of one another. And we all kind of, whether we like it or not, but a lot of our interactions are to some extent kind of fake or tinted or not like an exactly true representation of what's going on. And I just think we're very quick to judge what we see on the outside without having the faintest idea of what's going on the inside. And yeah, and I love it with Riley, especially with all of like her sports stuff and like all of her. I did competitive gymnastics growing up.
Right, you were on like an Olympic track, as I understand it.
Yes, I was training on like a high level on hoping to get to the Olympics in gymnastics. And yeah, the idea of like, I just you're like the brain is so powerful. Like I remember when I used to do a beam routine and I would fall and sort of like almost injure myself.
Yeah.
Coach had to make me redo that specific movement 10 times in a row, like right now. And there were no questions that she was like, you get back on the beam right now and you do it 10 times over. So your brain doesn't associate the like that element with like you falling.
It's like flooding the zone with something that's not failure.
Yeah, with like you need to overcompensate it with like 10 times that you did it well. So your brain doesn't associate that with like that move with like failure.
Right.
And I've had that with acting actually, where I used to be able to cry all the time. And I did one scene once, I remember specifically when, and I wasn't able to cry. And it has changed me forever. I've never now.
Really?
Yeah, forever. And now it's become such a big challenge that I actually to this day don't really know how to overcome.
It's like you got like the yips like for crying.
Yeah. And it challenged me so much that I felt like such a failure in that moment that right now every time I have a scene where I have to cry, I have so much anxiety about it. And like and it's so frustrating that you can literally do my coverage in the back of my head. Like on the other person, and I will be crying. And I'm like, okay, great. Like in my inner monologue.
I get it, I got it. Like I'm in the flow here.
You've proven to yourself that you can cry. You know you can cry, like blah blah. And then the second, like there's literally nothing I can do about it. That I know that they're doing my coverage. No tears. Nothing. And I'm like,
so infuriating.
And I can't help it. It's like literally my body gets really anxious, and it shuts off all my emotions. Like I usually can get to a point where it will happen. Like you've seen me in Yellow Jackets, and I mean actually every project that I've made almost I cry. So I've found ways around.
I think of you as a good crying actor. I want you to know this. I think of you as an adept crying actor.
I do. I'll find my way to tears, and I'll just have to go in a really dark, messed up place and find that old light bulb of Riley's hanging out in the back. But like no one would know on set that like my monologue between like those two setups is like me literally having so many like anxious thoughts and like trying to calm myself down and doing all these like breathing exercise to like slow my heartbeat and like, and again, maybe if I just came clean about it and I was like, hey everyone, like, or went up to the director and been like, this is something that makes me really anxious.
Yeah.
Maybe it would immediately calm my anxiety.
Right. Like you name the demon so you can cast it out.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, so it's just the inner monologue just really fascinates me. And in Girl in Pieces, I think it's so well depicted, and like the thoughts that or her dialogue is, I mean, almost word for word what I would tell myself sometimes in certain circumstances. So that's why it felt impactful to me. And I'm like, I wish that when I had started becoming anxious that I had read this book earlier. So I just hope that we can bring it out into the world so that other girls that are going through similar, or I mean anyone, not even girls, like just anyone going through situations like that can feel heard and seen.
It's time for a break, but I will be back with Sophie, and then at the end I will have one quick thing before I go about the only thing I could discuss at this time, the beloved, the legendary, the recently passed Catherine O'Hara. So stick around at the end for a tribute to one of the best who ever did it.
The Flophouse is a podcast where we watch a bad movie and then we talk about it.
Guys, how does E.T. poop?
Well, he's not that regular, but I mean, as he's gotten older.
He has two cloacas, one under each arm.
No, I was just looking forward to you going through the other ways in which Wild Wild West is historically inaccurate.
You know how much movies cost nowadays when you add in your popped corn and your bagel bites and your cheese fritters?
You can't go wrong with a Henry Cavill mustache. Here at Henry Cavill Mustaches, the only supplier.
The Flophouse. New episodes every Saturday. Find it at MaximumFun.org. say you like video games, and who doesn't?
I mean, some people probably don't.
Okay, but a lot of people do. So say you're one of those people, and you feel like you don't really have anyone to talk to about the games that you like.
Well, you should get some better friends.
Okay, yes, you could get some better friends, but you could also listen to Triple Click, a weekly podcast about video games hosted by me, Kirk Hamilton.
Me, Maddie Myers.
And me, Jason Schreier. We talk about new releases, old classics, industry news, and whatever, really.
We'll show you new things to love about games, and maybe even help you find new friends to talk to about them.
Triple Click. It's kind of like we're your friends. Find us at MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
We become more comfortable and settle in ourselves as we get older. We absolutely do. We develop skills and coping mechanisms. But like, I feel like there are like seeds of us, like they're always like the core, like little kernel of us are always there, and we learn to work with them and through them and bring out the sort of best in things that might have been challenging for us to protect ourselves and be better to other people along the way. But I feel like you watch something like Inside Out 2, and I feel like there's this myth, I feel like, at least I was told by grown-ups when I was little, that was like, oh, like when you get older, you won't care about that kind of stuff. And it's like sort of true, but also like watching little Riley and like these panics and meltdowns. I am 40 and I see this stuff around me all the time. Like this is still there. Like it's, you watch this, something that's this experience of this 13-year-old girl who wakes up and suddenly she smells bad and she doubts every decision she's ever made. And this is a completely foreign experience to her. And you watch that now and you're like, damn, it never feels far away, does it?
I'm selfish. I'm kind. I'm not good enough. I'm a good person. I need to fit in, but I want to be myself. I'm brave, but I get scared. Success is everything. I make mistakes. I'm nice. I'm mean. I'm a good friend. I'm a terrible friend. I am strong. I need help sometimes.
I think it's beautiful how you can watch something like this, and to your point of empathy, it makes me hope that like people watching this, it's like, oh yeah, like you said, the people going through it that you aren't really necessarily perceiving immediately, you watch this and you feel that like 13-year-oldness coming back in you. You're like, damn, no matter how far away you get, it still always feels a little bit fresh when you see somebody working this stuff out on screen.
Well, I think it's because, I mean, and I read this study and I was like, we are as like human species, like made to connect. Like we are not made to be on our own. We are not like a solitary species. Like we are made to be amongst people. And so I think that this craving to belong, I don't think will ever disappear. Right. I think it's like, it's larger than us. We will always want to fit in. We will always want to be amongst peers and yeah, just belong to someone, whomever that might be. So I think it's like, yes, as you get, and I'm in the core of it. I'm in the middle of figuring myself out, my values, all of it. And
your sense of self forming inside.
Like truly, and like I'm in it, and I keep clinging on to all my friends that are like 35, and they're like 30s are the best, 30s are the best. And I'm like, I want to be 35. I want to get to that point. I want to be.
It's good. I promise you there's so much good.
It's what they say. And I'm literally holding on to that like it's my lifeboat, because I'm like, if it's still like this in 10 years, it's not going to be funny. But it's just to say that like, no matter how old you are, I think we want to belong. And so that sense of like, even if you love yourself and are confident and you feel so at peace with, all the hard work you've put into yourself, still gonna kind of, there's always gonna be that feeling of like wanting to please and of just belonging. And it's a really fine line between respecting yourself and your values and staying true to who you are, and seeking the approval of someone else, even though their values don't align with yours, or even though you're not necessarily okay with their behavior. And I mean, hopefully as you get older, you're strong enough and wise enough to see like, okay, this is not the right fit. But I think we're just always gonna, tiny bit of us is always going to be worried about what this person thinks of us. What's their opinion of me? It's never, I mean, and maybe, but I've never come across someone where they can just literally, anyone could say what they want about them or not like them, and you're not going to have this, you want to prove yourself or want to wait or want to try to justify yourself, or that it just won't hurt at all.
At all.
And so, and that's, I mean, kind of the base of all our emotions. So yeah, I think that's why Riley is just figuring this out because of like high school and making friends and not wanting to disappoint your parents and this. And she's in the core of it, but I think that's forever going to be in us. And I think that's why Riley's story will always kind of hit very close to home. And like, to your point, never feel that far away.
Well, and something I did want to follow up on too was like to say like I'm grasping on to like these 35-year-olds telling me it's gonna fucking calm down. You are like with Girl in Pieces, you're a producer on that. You purchased the rights to that. That's the thing you've optioned. You're a veteran in your career at this point, but producing I believe is a newer skill for you. And that is, God, guys, if ever you wonder like what does a producer do? Everything. The producer's job is to be the answer to every question, perhaps before it even ever gets asked. And so what in a formative time where you're feeling sort of the onslaught of wading your way through the sort of forest in a way, what is it like taking on a leadership role like that to shepherd something into existence in a really difficult industry? And now you're the guy. Like, you're the one who's like, I'm not even going to pull it across the finish line. I'm going to get it to the fucking race in the first place.
I mean, it's been very empowering, mostly because, again, it's so new and I have the biggest imposter syndrome because I'm like, this is a completely new skill set. And I think acting for me is something that came naturally. Like, I never went to acting school. I never went to theater school. I kind of really randomly fell into this industry. And
you fell into an Oscar-nominated feature film for your first.
No, but like actually, in the most non-conceited way, like I literally got into acting because I needed money to pay for gymnastics, and so I never had any aspirations of becoming an actor. And then I was like, oh, I just got this part in this movie, and then I was very lucky, and that kind of is what set off my career. So I've never had to really and I'm actually now wanting to more and more like go into acting classes and just better myself. But for the longest time, I was truly kind of like winging it.
Yeah.
And so although it's fun and it's I'm very thankful, like it's not as gratifying as when you have to like actually work for something really hard. Or when you're in a position of like, wait, this is so scary because I don't know what I'm doing at all. And I am a bit in that position right now where I'm like, it's terrifying because I don't have the answers to everything. I half of the time I don't know what I'm doing. But I mean, first of all, it makes you like I've come to realize that there's so many people around me that are willing to help and that are so generous.
That's amazing.
And so there's this beautiful sense of community I've found, and of like friendships and people just wanting to help each other out, and knowledge being passed down. So I've found just like this really beautiful community, and also just self-empowerment. Like, I've realized how fun it is to like learn, and like weirdly enough it has made me kind of want to go back to like I've had that feeling as well with like learning Spanish. Like I've been really wanting to learn Spanish, and I started these Spanish classes in like an actual class with like a bunch of like 80-year-old women, and I was like, wow, it's so like it's so fulfilling to learn something. Like the self-pride that you get from that. And I feel like it's trickled down into so many other aspects of my life, like my finances, where I used to just have someone that did everything for me. And he still does everything for me because, like, don't ask me to touch a tax income paper. Like, what even, like...
One of my great moments on this show was June Squibb asking me if I was good with money. And I said, not as good as I want to be. And she said, I'm terrible. And I was like, shouts out to you, June.
No, like up until a year ago, I don't even think I knew how much money I had in my bank account. Like I didn't even, I was like, a very responsible spender, but like just completely unaware of of how that all works. My accountant kept trying to sit with me, and I was like, ask my mom, like, and account, and I was like, I get it.
Now you found an appetite for taking in that kind of information.
Yeah, because I like decided to get like a business manager and people that will help me, and I feel so proud.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy for you.
No one can take that from you. Like it's really this, it's like it's a sort of pride that, because it comes from within, is like different. Like no one can really touch that, because it's not like a compliment. It's not like, oh, we loved your work in that. And I'm like, it's still like an opinion of me. Like it's not my opinion of myself. And so that's what I've kind of found with producing. I mean, yeah, it feels like very personal. There's like all of these other sides too, that like it's been really fun to be able to have full reins of the creative process.
Absolutely.
When it comes to like deciding who I want to cast, and just be more involved like from the get-go, and understanding like all of the steps that it takes to get a project made. So many, and everyone is always like, what's happening with the movie? I'm like, I don't like, so might see the light of day in like 15 years.
Yeah, never ask somebody that question, honestly. What's happening with your indie film? Well,
yeah, it is a newfound respect for the craft, and like so much appreciation now when an indie does get made. I'm like, it's not just you snap, like it's I have a lot of respect for the people that I know, the amount of devotion and passion you must have had for that project for it to see the light of day. So yeah, I respect all the filmmakers out there that are trying to build something.
In that sort of perfectly, I feel like that sort of perfectly inside out to adjacent answer of like the thing that they can't take from you is like the thing you earn for yourself, and that you hold inside as you create the complex web of your own like nature and core beliefs and personality. In inside to sort of canonically related question, I will wrap by saying, as we see in Inside Out 2, Riley has a secret in a vault that the secret even tells the other characters it's not time yet. They're like, come on, dark secret, and she's like, no. And the dark secret closes the vault behind them.
What about Dark Secret?
Yeah, that's probably best for everybody.
Hey, who let you out? Get back in there.
Would you like to share with us today what the dark secret is that you keep behind your locked vault, Sophie? Would you like to open up a whole new layer of vulnerability by telling us what your big, deep, dark secret is behind a locked vault door? I'll try and come up with mine if you want to know mine, so it feels like an exchange of information. But, I would be remiss if I didn't ask. Or wait, even if you don't want to say what it is, do you know what the secret is? Or are you like, honestly, I know there's something there, but I haven't cracked it. Do you know what the secret is in the vault?
I do, and I think only my therapist knows. But it's not like a big, obviously not like I murdered someone.
I'm not like the fucking antler queen.
Yeah, I'm not Shauna. So sorry to disappoint. Yeah, I think it's just like it's just like more so ways of like a core belief that I have about myself. And probably if I told it to everyone around me, they'd be like, you're just like, oh, that's so not, I'm not like that.
Sure.
And I truly believe that it's fundamentally part of who I am. But my therapist and I are trying to unlock that together.
Okay. Well, wherever Dark Secret ends up going, I hope you two have a wonderful and fruitful relationship with each other in the future. Thank you so much for your time and for being willing to field my questions about your deep, dark vault locked secrets. Sophie, Nélisse, you do wonderful work. I do hope that a decade from now, 10 months from now, that Of a Girl in Pieces is able to see the light of day, because it's a heroic effort to get an indie feature out in the world. I'm really excited to see more work from you and more dimension to the work you do, and you're incredibly talented. So it is a core belief of mine that you are an incredible talent. So thank you for coming on the show and taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for talking to me. This has been such a fun, and like it just kind of almost felt like my therapy session. So very nice.
We honestly aim to elicit that exact feedback from people, so I'm thrilled to hear it. thank you again to Sophie and Nélisse, therapy session and all. Whistle is in theaters this weekend, and this is a perfect, if you are an AMC A-lister, get your A-list together and get to the theater, because a movie like this should be watched with a collective where you can hoot and holler and enjoy some real spectacular death scenes on a big screen in full darkness with a rockin' sound system. And so now we're gonna tone switch completely for that one quick thing before I go. And we're just gonna say, my God, Catherine O'Hara. My God, Catherine O'Hara. It is hard to believe sort of, some of the people that we've lost recently, Robert Redford, before the end of Sundance's run in Park City, which perhaps does feel like a sort of fitting symbolic departure. Oh, the one who makes me think most of Catherine O'Hara, Diane Keaton. And I think of those two women, and I think of the two of the funniest ladies that have ever existed in front of a camera. And in different ways and yet similar ways. Obviously, Diane Keaton was not like an improv comic. She was not a sketch comic. She was not a Christopher Guest ensemble player. That wasn't her kind of funny. But Catherine O'Hara was. And a thing that I've been thinking so much about both of them is the pitch, the awareness of their voices. The ways in which they were both, you could kind of, there's a long thread, I feel like, among sort of millennials, perhaps Gen Xers, of like, oh, Catherine O'Hara, who played so many moms, and regardless of how ridiculous some of those moms could be. And Diane Keaton, too. Diane Keaton, regardless of if that was not the only thing she was, and the expansive career she had, I think there's this strong identification with the mother roles that she played. But the thing about both of them is, like, in these mother roles, they were so good at a composition, at a sort of steady sort of figure, to a sort of perhaps ridiculous male counterpart. But they both had the thing I'm thinking about most is they both had this panic setting that they could switch into, where they would modulate their voice just so correctly that the way they would scream, the way that they would freak out, the way that they would break down, had such an incredible contrast to them in a sort of more steady, muted posture that they would hold themselves. That at any moment they would make the most surprising but perfect choice about how to affect their voice to the moment in a way that would just leave you in tears on the floor. The moment when, Diane Keaton screams at her therapist who's having an affair with her husband in First Wives Club, the moment when Mrs. Dietz has an absolute just like breakdown at her husband in Beetlejuice. And oh God, Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, our Lunt of Blaine, SCTV, Canadian comedic television, Schitt's Creek, The Studio. Like for like 3 generations in a row, 3 whole generations of people, each one of them could have found a different entry point into Catherine O'Hara and immediately understood the greatness that the prior generation had identified in her, but for a totally different role and totally different reason. And in seeing so many remembrances and tributes pour in about her over the past couple weeks now, it too is like when Keaton, it reminds me of when Bill Paxton tragically passed far too young. Everyone loved this person. Everyone who met Catherine O'Hara loved her. The sincerity and the completeness and the heartfelt specificity of every remembrance of Catherine O'Hara just confirms over and over and again someone who was warm, someone who was loving, someone who was funny to absolutely fucking everyone. Like, it is a bipartisan, it is a universal, it is a transcendent quality of funny that existed about Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara was not a type of funny. She was not a brand of comedy. She was comedy itself, and she was a great actor. And she was also super babe with a great fashion sense. And we should appreciate the totality of Catherine Hara when we look back at her life in that way. So this one quick thing, we could make a whole episode of it, is just a tribute to say thank you for everything to Catherine O'Hara. And that is our show, and you can keep up with us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us, do it. Follow us wherever you are listening to get every new episode in your feed as it drops. Follow us to find out more on Instagram at Feeling Seen Pod. We are also on Blue Sky, me and the show. You can search Feeling Seen or Jor Crew, JORCRU, which is also where I am on Twitter. Our theme music is by Andrew Epen. Our producer is Marissa Flaxbart. Our senior producers are Kevin Ferguson and Laura Swisher. And this is a production of Maximum Fun.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows,
supported
directly
by you.